ॐ सहनाववतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। हरि ओम श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः। हरि ओम। ॐ शन्नो मित्र शं वरुणः शन्नो भवत्वर्यमा शन्न इन्द्रो बृहस्पतिः शन्नो विष्णुरुक्रमः। नमो ब्रह्मणे नमस्ते वायो त्वमेव प्रत्यक्षं ब्रह्मासि त्वामेव प्रत्यक्षं ब्रह्म वदिष्यामि ऋतं वदिष्यामि सत्यं वदिष्यामि तन्मावतु तद्वक्तारम् अवतु अवतु माम् अवतु वक्तारम्। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। So I had already done the Sanskrit part and the word meaning and all, and I had just started talking about it, and then the time got kind of finished. So I'm going to take it from there. So just to get the context of what we are trying to do. So it seems that this is the same subject, right? Like Bhagavad Gita. Bhagavad Gita is the Sar of all Upanishads. So this is one of the Upanishads. The subject matter is the same, but they are approaching it in a different way. So it was a conversation between a student and teacher. Then we saw, teacher was teaching all kind of methods to meditate and all quieten their mind, and then telling all the deep stuff about, who Bhagwan is and all that. And then, coming along, and then still the students have doubt that, because the Brahman is such, nobody can point out, hey, this is God, like that. Yeah, you can point out to a Murti and say, but then, okay, Krishna Bhagwan is God, and then you do Krishna Leela and all that. But to understand Bhagwan Tattva se, Abhijananti, remember all those things, that words that he used? And so, how do I understand that? And then you start having a doubt. Hai bhi ki nahi hai? Because, so that's what, like, they don't know how to put it, so they are putting in some other question only. But unke andar, deep inside, unko doubt hai. कि ब्रह्मन है भी कि नहीं है, because you cannot see it, you cannot understand it from your mind. So then Swamiji used to say, so then might as well go home then. Why are you listening to the Swamis? Because if no, wait, you can experience it and still get it. So anyway, so basically the prashna उन्होंने पूछा कि वो अगर कोई नहीं भी जानता हो, when he quits this world, won't it merge with God? Will he come back? And if you understand God from Tattva, will you still come back? All those questions are there, but deep inside, is Brahman there or not? And then the way Swamiji explains, the teacher didn't jump and say, yes, Brahman is there. Because खाली ऐसे बोल दो yes, तो उनको नहीं कुछ समझ में आने वाला. तो वो भी बड़े smart, उसके teachers भी. पहले बताएंगे कि भाई ये दुनिया आई कैसे? ये प्रश्न सभी के मन में आएगा कभी न कभी. क्यों आई, कब आई, कैसे आई? And I want to know. Okay, and then the logic is going to be, अगर दुनिया है तो दुनिया बनाने वाला भी है और वो बनाने वाला जो है ना, वो है भगवान. फिर समझ में आ जाएगा, right? दुनिया कैसे आई, तो वो इसमें कर रहे हैं. So now दुनिया, on one hand it looks simple, हाँ भाई दुनिया है, and from the worldly thing, वो सारे जितने भी astronomers और क्या बोलते हैं उसको, ये science वाले होते हैं, वो लोग बड़ी बड़ी सारी बता देंगे फिजिकल दुनिया को कि भाई कितने स्टार्स हैं और जितने सैंड ग्रेन्स है उतने स्टार्स है, बोलेंगे ये है वो है, एंड द यूनिवर्स इज हाउ मेनी बिलियन ईयर्स ओल्ड, एवरीथिंग दे नो, फाइन, ग्रेट. बट व्हेन आई लुक एट द वर्ल्ड, ओके, दिस इज फिजिकल वर्ल्ड, देन देयर आर समथिंग कॉल्ड माइंड. आई एम अ थिंकिंग पर्सन, राइट? सो देन व्हाट इज माइंड? And then there are things that I can see and things I cannot see. Like air is there and I can feel it. And now once they told me it's air, I can see the leaves moving. That means there is something there. As we grow up, we learn all these things. Sky, what is sky? Where does it end? This, that, and all that. So many things are manifested, unmanifested. Sometimes you see think about it. Every seed on this earth, कितना इंफॉर्मेशन भरा हुआ है उसके अंदर. और वो बोलते हैं कि जितना बड़ा पेड़ होता है ना, उसका सीड उतना भी छोटा हो सकता है. Like we were in Houston and they call it oak trees are like giant trees. I have not seen them here, those oak trees. They're beautiful trees. they get really, really big. They say कि उसका जो seed होता है बहुत छोटा होता है. But that entire seed is like, it's an unmanifested form, is a tree in unmanifested form. If I look at the seed, I can never imagine that a big tree can come out, but it has the whole information how to get the big tree out of there. That's unmanifest. So the science is there too, that there are things that I see and things I don't see. Where is it coming from? How did that happen? So then, like Nikhilanandji took this approach that what we see in the world is at 3 different levels. Okay, one is that highest thing, highest reality. Obviously, that's kind of difficult to comprehend right now. Okay, so the next one is, he called it vyavarik satta. एक को पारमार्थिक बोला है, but I was trying to think of the English words for them, and then vyavarik is transactional world. That we are fully aware of. Right? I'm transacting right now. I'm sitting in this Zoom and we are talking. That's called transaction. Through this technology I'm doing. But otherwise, I'm transacting with my family, with my friends, with the boss, with the whole world. When I'm morning to evening, I'm in the transactional world. So that's the second reality. Okay. Third is like a delusion or illusion in the world. And then we discuss that. What it is, जो नहीं है वो मुझे दिखाई दे रहा है, like a mirage, or even you can say that I'm watching the sunset in the evening. The ball is going down the water. Is it actually going in the water? Absolutely not. We know that the sun never, सूरज तो कभी डूबता ही नहीं है, लेकिन हम लोग ऐसे ही बोलते हैं ना, सूरज डूब रहा है. So see what I'm saying? That there is 3 different levels of all, ये कहाँ से आया सब? So what they say in our Shastras, everything came from that one Brahman. So all 3 layers have come from that one Brahman. And once I understand that highest level, everything merges back into that only. Just like I go to sleep and I'm watching a dream, and then when I wake up, where does my dream go? Have you thought about it? It merges back into me, right? Then I create a new dream, So when they talk about this whole cycle of creation, dissolution, creation, maintenance, and dissolution. In Sanskrit, they call it utpatti, sthiti, or laya. Whoever understands a little bit Hindi, Sanskrit. So that's what it is. It's a cycle, they say. It's coming. So it's just like a dream. Okay, ये cycle खत्म हुआ, दूसरा शुरू हुआ, and the next day. Same way that comes. And then Nikhilanandji explained this whole concept of these 3 different reality from the example of mitti or pots. How the clay pots are made of clay. So the clay is that highest reality. You can make infinite variety of pots. जितना वो पॉट मेकर की इमेजिनेशन है उतना वो बना सकता है, right? So that's another concept of infinity that we can understand. So you can create. So from the highest perspective, everything is mitti, but when he makes the pot, it becomes like a useful for us. We can put water in it, we can transact, we can pour from one to the other. ये वो सब transactional world हो गया. And then if I वहाँ मटका पड़ा हुआ है and मुझे लग रहा है कोई जानवर है क्या उसमें, some delusion happens in my mind. कुछ नहीं भी हो तो भी कुछ दिखाई देने लगता है, कुछ छाया वाया दिख रही है, and I start imagining. So that's the delusion. So that's the example he gave. But in the end, everything is mud only. So same way, everything is Brahman. So I think that example is a very good one to understand what it is. And then what he was saying, that how Upanishad is the one that to talk about that supreme Brahman. If the Upanishad didn't tell us, we won't even know that there's something called this highest reality, usme se sab aaya hai. There will be a lot of confusion if we don't know that. Okay, and then Upanishad not only talk about that highest reality, it also talks about sansar and it also talks about delusion. So when we study everything, we can understand the whole thing. So what in the end, what is coming down to exactly what Krishna Bhagavan was saying, that you don't understand me from Tattva. So he's saying that Jiva, which is us, is not recognizing the real nature. That's why we are confused. Okay, so then go back to some of the verses in this Upanishad. They told us that where is happiness? We think happiness is in the world. But we understood. I know some people have come here recently in the class. I don't know if you know this concept, but I'll briefly explain it. And you might already know this. They said that when we feel happy, when do we usually feel happy? If I have a desire to get something, right now I'm agitated and frustrated. Oh, I want to get it. Finally, when I get it, I get that joy or happiness. And I think, wow, I got this. And this thing gave me the happiness. But what the Rishi Munis are saying, the thing did not give you happiness. What is the science of happiness? He's saying that when the mind is agitated, you're not happy. But when you get something, all that has happened is your mind has quietened down. All that agitation is temporarily gone, and the happiness of your soul has just come up. That's all it is. Happiness is in the soul. It is in Bhagwan, because soul means that what is expressing, the consciousness that is expressing through me is called soul. So that consciousness has that bliss and happiness, and what you are feeling is happiness of the consciousness temporarily. And then moment some other desire comes in your mind, that happiness goes away. Chu mantra. And then you again start striving. So you're going like a roller coaster. So they're saying, hey, why are you going after these things? Why don't you go to the source and learn to be happy all the time? Bahar kuch bhi ho raha ho. That's what they're trying to say. So he's saying that we have this delusion that isme sukh hai, usme sukh hai, and this is called confusion. When they talked about delusion, illusion, jo bola na, this is also another kind of delusion only in us, that the worldly things give me happiness. And there is a word in Sanskrit called adhyas. Adhyas means superimposing happiness on something else. Okay, that's what it is. So he's saying all these kind of confusion that we have, that leads to this world. Okay, and then when I become free of that confusion and I recognize myself as I am, then I get that's called moksha. When we say what is nirvana, moksha, highest reality, establishing in it, that's what it means, So, and then he was saying that this question that was asked, it was asked by the jiva. Because that question is very important one. We also have the same doubt. That is such a thing called Brahma or not. So now he's saying that let's look at what this world is. So, in our scriptures, it's a very interesting concept. We don't have a linear time like this. I don't know how to explain. In the Western world, beginning and end, that's why they keep looking, ye sansar kab shuru hua, beginning of the universe, uske pehle kya tha, ye wo. We call it cyclic. Okay, we don't even go. Usko bolte hain ki beginningless. Have you heard of this word? उसकी ना कोई अंत है ना आदि है. ये word तो सभी ने सुना है. आदि अंत कुछ नहीं है. आदि means beginning, ant means end. It's a cycle. So when somebody says कि जग की उत्पत्ति कब हुई, we are not going to the first time at all according to our scriptures. No first time over here, because Adi and Anant. We have to just accept it, what they are saying. So you're going from the period when dissolution has taken place. And now they call science, maybe usko kuch naam diya hua hai, singularity, and ye wo Big Bang ki theory mein they have all these names, similar thing. So when it became all dissolved, now when the new thing start, how does it start? Look at it that way. Because this whole world is beginningless. And how do I explain this? It's like God and its power. Can the God's power be different than God? Think about it for a minute. जैसे मैं हूँ और मेरे में कुछ शक्ति है कुछ भी करने की, I can get up and do all these activities. Is my Shakti different from me? No, it's part of me only. It is just expressing when I do something. Same way, if Bhagwan be accepted as Adi and Anant, his Shakti is Adi and Anant too. That's another way you can accept this concept, okay? So then, when it comes out, how does it happen? This whole thing. And so, let me see how I approach this. So what he's saying over here, Nikhilanand was explaining, that this whole world is created because some kind of desire came into that Brahman. That's what this verse is saying. So you can look at it this way, and then somebody will ask you, why did the desire come? And that's when I told you that, look at a small child. Why is he playing all day? और कुछ काम धाम नहीं है. Like, they will just take, just for fun. So desire came in this, ocean of consciousness. Hey, I want to experience something different. I want to play something. So you can look at it that way if you want to. But there is another explanation, Nikhilananji gave. That's also a nice one. So the desire came. So how do I experience? First, I have to create the circumstances. And I was just saying that if like a child will say, Mommy, I want to play. Where do you want to play? I want to go to the park. Then mommy will sit in the car, take her to the park, and somebody has created the park and you play over there. Then you feel happy. Same way, this desire came that, I want to do something. To fulfill that desire, they said the tapas. Tapas is effort to create that whole thing. And effort can be mental also. When you say tapas, not necessarily you have to do something with your hand. That is also tapas. वो भी एक तरह का क्या बोलते हैं, तप ही हो गया ना. And our teacher used to explain tap means when your body gets a little heated up. When you're working, just all these, men, women, suppose I want to clean the house. And then I'm cleaning, and then heat builds up in my body. I say, oh my God, I'm so hot. Tapas, because I'm doing that tapas. Or I'm thinking. Some people do tapas of thinking. They have to sit and concentrate. वो भी एक तरह का tapas है. So you can look at it whichever way. But in the beginning, you have to do mental tapas. Then it has to come out as action. Both can be called tapas. So he did the tapas. And then very interesting thing that Nikhilananji said. He said, if you really think about it, God at the purest form, उनमें डिज़ायर नहीं है, पर हम जीव जो है ना, उनमें डिज़ायर होती है. उसको फुलफिल करने के लिए भगवान ने दुनिया बनाई है. And then he gave a beautiful example. We'll see if you can relate to this. He's saying it's like a mother. She has 4 or 5 children. And if she has 4 or 5, suppose if she has 4 or 5 children, हम लोग के तो इक्के दुक्के ही है. लेकिन अगर 5 बच्चे हों, वो बेचारी मदर की खुद कोई डिज़ायर नहीं होती. She's all the time trying to please the children. बेटा तू क्या खाएगा करके सबके लिए 5 different dishes भी बना देगी. That's what God, he said. I thought that's such a beautiful example. और हमारी जितनी जीवों की desires है ना, उसको fulfill करने के लिए उन्होंने इतनी बड़ी दुनिया बनाई है. जाओ मजा करो, जो चाहिए मिलेगा तुमको, थोड़ी मेहनत कर लो. Like our teacher used to say, our children, we explain it like that. God gives you apple seed, not apple. You know why? Because you get to take the seed, put it in the ground, put them, water, expose it to sunlight. You will get as many apples as you want. Without मेहनत के कुछ नहीं मिलने वाला. लेकिन दे दिया सब कुछ. Atmosphere बना दिया कि तो you can go and work and get it. So I like this example very much. This how it happened. And then something very interesting he said in this verse. Bhagwan said, I created the world, and then Bhagwan entered into that world. ये क्या चक्कर हो गया भाई? Enter. Why does he have to enter? Because see, even if you go to a very technical thing in Vedanta, they call it efficient cause and material cause. I think I've discussed that, right? It's like a pot maker. Pot maker's knowledge and everything is the efficient cause. He knows what to do. But then he needs the equipment and he needs a material. He needs the clay to make the pot. So the clay is, in this example of a pot maker, clay is separate from the person who's making it. But in the world, in this, how the world was created, the material cause is not separate from God. And the example of given is of the spider. The spider from his own saliva makes his house. He doesn't go anywhere. It's coming from himself. Same way, Bhagwan is the material cause as well as efficient cause. So अगर वो already material cause है, तो why does he have to enter anything? Right? It's something like saying, okay, the clay pot is made and now clay is entering the pot. How absurd, right? That makes sense. So why did they say that? There's a reason. Because it's a limited way to explain. So he's saying the reason it said that he entered, because just to tell us that, look, Bhagwan is in you also. Because Bhagwan is the material cause. So you are also made up of Bhagwan's material only, and that consciousness is within you as a witness. So as though, it's not really entered, as though entered you also. Because sometimes क्या होता है कि when we are, somebody died, then suddenly that person is not alive. What has happened is that the subtle body has exited from the body. And this consciousness is actually expressing through the subtle body. So, all that becomes too complicated. So, to simplify it, they just said, Bhagwan ne dunya banai, fir usme pravesh kar liya. So, at least, means we understand that, okay, jo bhi dunya hai, wo Bhagwan ki hai, aur sab mein Bhagwan hai. Just to kind of tell us that, I thought he gave a good explanation. Otherwise, there's a confusion that why did he have to enter, if you go very technical, okay? So, those were the points in there. And then, another thing that this verse talks about is कि भगवान ही सब कुछ बन गया. हाउ डू यू एक्सप्लेन सब कुछ बन गया? तो उन्होंने ना ये थोड़े वर्ड्स यूज किए यहाँ पे. दे कॉल इट सत और त्यच. सत मीन्स मैनिफेस्टेड थिंग and tyach is unmanifested. Like I told you, there are so many things that are unmanifested, and even tendencies within us, they are dormant. उनको त्यच बोल सकते हैं. And then niruktam cha or niruktam cha. वो दोनों बने. Niruktam means the one that you can express something. You can talk about something. It's called niruktam. Speaking about something. And when you cannot speak about something, it becomes aniruktam. And very simple example. Just किसी को बोलो, I love you. Oh, how much do you love me? You can't express it. इतना, how can you can't quantify that, right? Aniruktam ho gaya. You can see aniruktam many different ways that you want. Or certain things are there within your heart and nobody can see it. Aniruktam ho gaya. I'm feeling it, I can't express it. Whatever you want to say it. So there are both kinds of things in this world. So, and isko bol diya nilyam and anilyam. Nilyam means the one जिसका कोई घर है, और अनिलियम means homeless तो नहीं बोला चाहिए. That's kind of a different meaning ही हो जाता है. Houseless means some support is there and some support is not there. So, but these things which are support is very easy to see. This house is there, car is there, there's some form is there. So I think the best way to divide it is one with form and one without form. So ये तीनों जो बोला ना, निरुक्तम च, निlyam च, निlyam च, then बोला विज्ञानम च अविज्ञानम च. Knowledge and ignorance. Because it's like how Bhagwan became both. So don't we say like this, I know how many languages you know. I know English, I know Hindi, I know whatever, Gujarati, Marathi a little bit. Do I know Russian? No, I don't know. It's like ignorance of Russian. That means I just don't know it. But both of them are God only. And I know I don't know also. See what I'm saying? So there is a knowledge and there is ignorance. Both are Bhagwan only ban gaye dono. And then he said that Satyam and Asatyam. So Satyam or Anrutam actually. Not Anrutam means same. Satyam and is truth and ignorance. Okay, I already talked about that. So that's what he was saying, that everything what you see is expression of that Brahman only. And then in the world, you can see three different kind of expressions that we are very much aware of: plants, animals, and then humans. Expressing in all different levels, but it's all Bhagwan only. That's why we, as our culture, we respect everything, right? Plants को भी हम लोग बोलते हैं कि भगवान ही है उसमें. And certain plants have a little more expression of Bhagwan because they have a medicinal value, they have energy value. Like जैसे तुलसी को अगर लगाओगे तो बहुत अच्छी energy हो जाती है आसपास में. And I don't know if you have heard of this, but they recently did some research about cows. That जो cow forms, अगर cow को अच्छे से रखा हुआ बिना torture किए हुए, उसको अगर प्रेम से रखो ना, तो अगर cow गौशाला में जाके बैठ जाओ ना, तुम्हारा मन शांत हो जाएगा. Because cows emit some kind of a positive energy. If you go look it up on internet, in the Western world they are doing this kind of research that your mind can become quiet, so the energies are there too. So these are everything is God only. And then the final point is over here. It is not very like expressed completely, but the deep meaning is that if there is a sansar, then where did it came from? Something cannot come from nothing. That I think that Meena ji has brought that point, and that's exactly what they were trying to explain over here. If there is a sansar, there is God also. It's as simple as that. Or kisi ne, actually it was in Hare Krishna, somebody was saying that, ये जो Western theory of creation है ना, बहुत ही अजीब है. जैसे कि Big Bang हो गया, और वो ऐसे boom करके हुआ, और फिर दुनिया आ गई. तो it's saying it's something like एक जोर से एक बम फोड़ दो आकाश में, और वो नीचे गिरेगा तो सारे बिल्डिंग्स बन जाएंगे, सब लोग बन जाएंगे. बिग बैंग थियोरी के बारे में. हाउ कैन दैट बी? कुछ इंटेलिजेंस होना चाहिए. अभी देखो कोई भी चीज़ है कितनी इंट्रिकेट है. इट कैन नॉट बिकम जस्ट बाय चांस. हाँ, इवोल्यूशन की थियोरी अच्छी है कि इट गेट्स, बट वेयर डिड इट ओरिजिनली केम फ्रॉम? देयर हैज़ टू बी अ वेरी हाई इंटेलिजेंस from where it has come. 2 मिनट सोचेंगे तो हम लोग को मालूम पड़ेगा कि जो कुछ भी आया है वो सब उधर से आया है. So that's what they're trying to say over here, that if the world is there, the cause has to be there. You cannot have an effect without a cause, and that cause is that Bhagwan. That's what they're trying to say. The Brahm is there, Brahman is there. This is what they have proved through this. Maybe indirectly, but that's why we have all the commentaries of all the people. And like, Naresh ji keep reminding, 6 pages. Now you know why 6 pages, because शायद 1 पेज लिखते तो हमारे खोपड़ी में घुसता नहीं सब कुछ, इसलिए 6 पेज लिखना पड़ा. So any question, comment about how the world was created? Interesting way, the way they approached it. Yeah. Okay, Naresh ji, if you want to read.
Yeah.
No question, I'm assuming. Nobody's saying anything.
He desired, I shall become many and be born. He performed tapas. Having performed tapas, he created all this whatsoever we perceive. Having created it, he entered into it. Having entered it, he became the manifest and the unmanifest, the defined and the undefined, the house and the houseless, the knowledge and ignorance, truth and falsehood, and all this whatsoever that exists. Therefore, it is called existence. In this sense, there is a following Vedika verse.
So, यहाँ पर जो उन्होंने बोला ना, therefore this is called existence. I didn't touch upon that one. So, because in English language also we can understand this. They say, okay, everything in this world exists. I exist, all these things, and even from the scientific perspective, they say you cannot destroy matter. बोलते कि नहीं, जितने भी यहाँ पर scientists और PhDs बैठे हुए हैं, the matter to energy, energy to matter, right? That they're saying you cannot destroy it. Existence is there, was always there, is always going to be, it'll be in the future, now it's there. That existence, उसका नाम उन्होंने existence दिया, कि that you can call it Brahman, you can call it existence. That's why they call it Sat Chit Anand. Sat is that existence part of it, always there, and that Chit is conscious. We are not only exist, but we can understand this thing, whatever it is. That consciousness is very important, and Anand, that we have a doubt about, but they said that pure Brahman is pure bliss. And that bliss we saw that दुनिया में जितना भी आनंद है ना, उसका सोर्स वो ही है. चाहे तुम लड्डू खा के आनंद लो, मूवी देख के आनंद लो, सो के आनंद लो, जो भी आनंद तुम्हारा है वो वहीं से आया. That's what it is. So existence is.
आपके उपदेश सुन के,
हाँ,
आपकी प्रीचिंग सुन के तो
आनंद आ गया. वो आनंद ही वही है. Yes. हाँ.
The supreme all-pervading consciousness, which is the substratum for the entire world, is itself the conscious part of the life within us, called the Atman. This has been already explained in the earlier verse of this chapter. Here in this mantra, the teacher is continuing his discourse and is explaining how creation has actually emerged out from the ocean of pure consciousness, which ever remains perfect, the one without a second.
So here Swamiji is, because we have, some of you joined us later, but if you get the book and go back to it and try to read it, you will get all these things that, that pure consciousness, when it expresses through us, that's called Atman. And, and all these things that what you're saying, we have already studied that before. Yeah.
There are many European critics who naturally get flabbergasted at the logic of the master's words here. The student asks the definite and the pointed question, which is the master is not answering immediately and directly. From this, they conclude that the teacher was not only avoiding the questions and its implications, but was even frightening the children away with the dignity of his bearded face and the sonorous echo of his thundering words.
Swamiji says all this because I think there was a big criticism कि अच्छा बच्चों ने पूछा ना कि है या नहीं, तो उन्होंने जवाब क्यों नहीं दिया ठीक से. भाई बोल देते है या नहीं, बोल देते है, क्यों नहीं किया, खाली डरा रहे हैं उनको. मतलब कि वो I can't ask this question because certain religion भी ऐसा होता है, don't ask question, this is how it is and just do it. So they are kind of accusing these people, and Swamiji is going to give explanation. ऐसी कोई बात नहीं थी, because in our shastras प्रश्न पूछना is a very common thing. Of course there is a way of not to just show some kind of disrespect, but you can, whole Bhagavad Gita is about conversation between Arjun ने कितने प्रश्न पूछे उसमें. So it's okay, but he's just saying that there is a reason. He's going to tell us in the next paragraph why he didn't answer.
In fact, a closer study reveals how certainly the master had answered all the subtle implications of the students' questions. In this dramatic situation where the teacher was giving a discourse to a few students who were eagerly sitting in front of him, all eyes and ears open, with their minds searching forward to peep over ever uncovered new field of knowledge, which the master's words seemed to open up to their view. The students in their impatience asked the above question.
So he's just creating a scenario कि वो कोई कहानी बता रहा हो तो हम लोग को बहुत मजा आ रहा हो, हम लोग ऐसे सुन रहे हैं एकदम, and then we start thinking of ahead. इसकी ending क्या होगी भाई, मेरे को अभी से बता दो. So they're getting impatient and they want to know the final thing. अभी बता. They may not be ready because this Vedanta subject is such. अगर किसी को ऐसे ही तुम बोलोगे ना, समझो किसी ने कभी विचार नहीं किया, किसी को मालूम नहीं है, किसी ने पढ़ा नहीं, कभी कोई गुरु नहीं है, उसको जाके तुम बोलो यू आर नॉट द बॉडी, तो बोलेगा है पागल है क्या तू, आई एम नॉट द बॉडी, व्हाट आर यू सेइंग. दैट्स समथिंग लाइक दैट, right? You gotta sit and contemplate, understand, and then it sinks into you why they are saying you're not, right? Something like that you can think of. That they are just jumping a little bit ahead, these students, and asking questions.
The teacher, appreciating the depth of understanding which is indicated in the students' questions, did not all of a sudden jump to an answer with a direct yes or no. He continued his discourse, covering all the fields as per his own scheme of the discourse. There was a smile of satisfaction on the face of the teacher, and he promised the children with his smile that he would be answering their questions. Thus, the teacher continued to explain how the infinite came to play the game of the finite, not by any accident, nor by the intervention of anything other than itself, but it happened to entertain a desire to become many and play the game of life.
So here Swamiji is taking a very, very interesting approach. Firstly, he's saying that the teachers were very clever, and they purposely they didn't say yes or no, because the answer cannot be given so briefly. They won't explain to them anything. So whatever scheme they had to explain, they continued, because that's the only way the complete satisfaction is going to come to the students, and they will actually believe in it. खाली हाँ ना बोल दिया तो कुछ नहीं होने वाला, right? So we continued. And then the other thing is कि this world has not come by an accident. And some of the Western theories point to that. Oh, just Big Bang happened and, whatever. And, that's not how we are explained about this. That, hey, that by something within that Brahman only something happened and this world came about, and then the explanation comes. And one more very important thing. He's going to point to that, but I will just explain because some of you don't have the book. That this trying to understand Bhagwan is, in our Vedanta, is a personal journey that you take within, because God is within us, right? So everybody subjectively has to think about this theory of creation also. Okay, and it happens to us, but we never think about it, that even to go to sleep, when we completely sleep in deep sleep, एक तरह से लय हो जाता है, हमारी दुनिया लय हो जाती है. Then we get up, it again manifests, and all the waking hours sthiti means for a while it stays, then I go to sleep, again वो unmanifest form में चला जाता है. We experience that every 24 hours. We experience this also personally. So whatever happens at a micro level, that's what happens at a macro level also. It's the same principle. So just think about this, what I'm saying.
This description gives us a palatial feeling that teacher is trying to explain the creation objectively. Though the words here is he desired, gives the reader a wrong notion that a creator that among the clouds desired, and you and I are all creatures of his desire. In the tradition of the studies of Upanishad, the students of that age try to grasp the truth in themselves subjectively. Vedanta being the science of man's subjective quest to discover the reality in himself, at every point in the Upanishads, we can understand the Shastra only if we try to subjectively experience what has been objectively explained in their mantras.
So you understood what I'm saying. He's saying that try to understand this whole concept within you, because when you say, oh, the creation theory, तो ऐसे बोलते हैं ना कि वो भगवान को सपना आया, फिर उन्होंने ये किया, फिर दुनिया बना दिया, तो कोई बाहर बन रही है मेरे से दुनिया. That's not what it is. We are part of it only. And if I want, sorry, Meena ji, you have a question?
I said, could you give an example of a dream that you created?
Yeah, dream. Perfect example is. In fact, our teacher used to say, hey, why did God create dream? Hey, because to make us understand the theory of creation. That it's possible that, hey, in my own mind, I can create everything. When I see a dream, like Meena ji said, my mind creates everything. मैं ही वो पेड़ बन जाती हूँ, मैं ही पीपल बन जाती हूँ, मैं ही सब कुछ बन जाती हूँ, एंड आई एंजॉय. ड्रीम में अगर हम रसगुल्ला भी खाएंगे तो वो मीठा ही लगता है, कोई थप्पड़ मारे तो दर्द भी होता है, राइट? वो टाइम पे ऐसे लगता है कि इट्स सो रियल. बट व्हेन वी वेक अप, oh, where did a dream disappear? It disappeared in my own mind. It was created by my own mind and disappeared. So I think that's a perfect example what you brought up. That's what it is.
वो जनक का एग्जाम्पल है ना.
हाँ, जनक का एग्जाम्पल.
भिखारी बन गया.
या जनक भिखारी बन गया, जब वो उठा तो कंफ्यूज हो गया, बोला वो सच था या ये सच है. फिर वो अष्टावक्र जी आए और उन्होंने बोला दोनों सच नहीं है, वो सच है. That's perfect. That story tells everything. That actually that highest reality is the reality. तुम्हारा ड्रीम भी अनरियल था और ये दुनिया भी अनरियल ही है.
The Atman, the supreme and divine, perfect and all full, reveling in its own omniscience and omnipotence, became aware of a desire arising in itself. Thousands of desires do come every day in the bosom of each one of us, but we do not identify ourselves with them, and they immediately die away. But at moments we get ourselves identified with one of the desires, and then starts the endless chain of tragedies and sorrows in our effort to fulfilling the desire and regaining our mental poise.
So he's also subjectively within us. क्या होता है कि हमारे बहुत सारी डिजायर भरी पड़ी है हम सब में. सो अगर हम लोग अंदर झांक के देखेंगे तो कितनी सारी है, लेकिन वो सारे तो फुलफिल नहीं होते. कौन सी वाली डिजायर फुलफिल होती है बोलो, जिसमें हम लोग एफर्ट डालते हैं? हाँ, है कि नहीं? वही डिजायर होती है. ओ मुझे मेडिकल स्कूल में जाना है, कितने बेचारे मेहनत करनी पड़ती है बच्चों को, राइट? Then they become, because they have entertained that desire and they go after it, they do the tapas. So he's just saying that even subjectively the same thing, that you can just imagine that the consciousness is so vast, it can have endless desires in it too, but it holds on to one desire and then it manifests this world, because he does identifies with that desire. That word is used, identified. In Hindi we will say mere man mein khayal aaya and then I want to do this, so I will put effort for it.
My desire, good desire, and God's desire.
Sorry, फिर
These are-
Yeah.
क्या कहा आपने?
There are 3 levels: my desire,
हाँ,
good desire, and desire of the God.
okay, yeah,
We have to reach that last level,
right.
desire of the God.
So true. Like somebody said it very nicely. They say, hey, we say कि भगवान मैं ये काम करने जा रही हूँ, इसको bless करो, right? ऐसे हम लोग बोलते हैं ना, bless my काम. तो किसी ने बोला कि अरे तुम भगवान का काम कर लो ना, तो फिर अपने आप ही bless है उसमें, मांगने की जरूरत नहीं है. So that was a good one. Yeah.
For example, almost every day in the afternoon, the idea of visiting some cinema show might crop up in our minds. When it is ignored, it dies away without making any stir within us. One day, suddenly one gets a desire for a movie, and he does not keep quiet but identifies himself with the desire and then starts vitalizing it with his own thoughts. He struggles hard to create that world of experience by reaching the theater, purchasing a ticket, walking in and taking the seat. Having thus created this joy, he enters it as it were, with his enthusiasm to enjoy the show, and then comes to suffer the agonies of the tragedy of the smiles at the come day.
Comedy actually. Yeah, smiles at. So यहाँ पर है ना, very interesting thing. Swami Ji is very clever. He's also telling us how not to get swayed by all the desires. What can we do? Desires तो बहुत सारी आती है. So he just gave a very good example. He's saying that every day this guy is thinking, oh, I want to watch a movie. But most of the time he doesn't make any effort. He doesn't identify with it and then he forgets about it. But one day वो पकड़ के बैठ जाता है, आज तो मुझे मूवी देखनी है. Then he goes and does all the effort. He goes in the car, purchase the ticket, goes in the cinema hall, and when he sits in the cinema hall ना, वो भूल जाता है कि मैं कौन हूँ, और वो जब वो मूवी चल रही होती है तो वो मूवी में घुस जाता है. In a sense, he identifies with the movie, और फिर वो वहाँ पर रो रहे हैं, इमोशनल हो रहे हैं, हम भी रो रहे हैं. हम लोग कहते हैं मेरे को ही हो रहा है ये दुख. I identify with all that, I start crying and all that. So I'm just unnecessarily suffering, and then all of a sudden I realize, oh my God, I'm not this character in this movie. Then I will. Or like कोई बहुत भयानक सीन है तो हम डर भी जाते हैं. Then say, अगर डर को भगाना है ना, आंखें बंद कर लो 1 मिनट के लिए, because this is just a show. So anyway, whichever way you want to look at it. So basically they just telling that if you have many desires in you, even if you just don't give, this is Mumbai का language है, उसको भाव मत दो. Don't give too much importance to it, and then वो अपने आप भाग जाएगी desire. But if you sit there and indulge in it, it will become problem for you.
पूरी दुनिया एक मूवी है.
Yeah, बिल्कुल. Okay.
Similarly, says the Rishi, the Supreme, first desired meaning, when a desire bumped up in that ocean of perfection, in its all fullness, desire too is in it. It identified itself with that desire and performed tapas. Concentrated and consistent thinking in the line of a desired object is tapas. These thoughts dynamize the desire and the individual meaning, the supreme, identified with its desire, struggles to create the necessary world in which it can fulfill its desire. Having created the world, he enters in, meaning he comes to live in an intimate and immediate relationship with the world of objects so created. Thus concludes the Rishi. The Supreme himself became the entire world of experience in plurality.
So here, here it's the same concept that we have been discussing for last 30-45 minutes, that how did this whole world came about, that the desire he came, and then the Brahman wanted to experience this world, so they created this world and did the tapas, meaning concentrated and consistent line of thinking. That's how we also do. And then, the way you can think of this is when you say you entered into it, if you enter is great, but if you forget who you are, then there is a problem. Is when you are enjoying, वो हमारे हालत यही हो गया है. Actually, we have come from that Brahman only. Because, we have forgotten who we are. हम दुनिया में इतने खो गए, आजकल वो एक वर्चुअल कुछ होता था ना, एक आया था कोई चश्मा जैसा, you wear it and you feel like you are in it and all that. I don't know if any one of you have experienced that. अभी पता नहीं है या नहीं, but about a few years.
Reality, yeah.
Virtual reality. अरे forget about virtual reality, वर्ल्ड वाइड वेब और छोड़ो व्हाट्सएप, सुबह सुबह शुरू हो जाते हैं ग्रुप्स में, एंड इफ यू सिट देयर 1 घंटा चला जाएगा, पता भी नहीं चलेगा सबके वीडियो देखते देखते, एंड देन यू फॉरगेट कि मेरे को ये काम करना है, वो काम करना है. You entered into it and forgot who you are. So that's another way of looking at this enter business. I thought it was a nice point he's telling.
I can continue. If somebody else wants to read it.
Yeah, somebody else, fine. Anilji, you want to read it?
So I can continue.
Yeah, Anilji can read it. That's fine. It's too long. Yeah.
Where did you end?
Plurality.
In this birth of plurality from the Supreme.
Oh, in this birth of the plurality
Plurality.
from the Supreme, no division or change has taken place in the infinite. The infinite is only a superimposition on the infinite. The vision of a ghost does not in any sense reduce, divide, or mar the nature of the post. Rockefeller may dream that he is a beggar roaming in the streets of New York seeking for lunch, but on waking up, he will not find himself even a farthing less rich for all his dream poverty than what he was. This process of delusory vision, which veils the real nature of the substratum and gives us an experienceable perception of something different from it, is called a superimposition. The Rishi here explains this all-satisfying theory of creation as expounded in Vedanta.
So here Swamiji is bringing a very, very important point that we have learned, that Brahman is changeless. Nothing happens to it. दुनिया में कितना भी तूफान आ रहा हो, कुछ हो रहा हो, दुख है, ये वो, in that bliss ocean of bliss, nothing changes. So that we have to understand. So then how do you explain the creation? They call it superimposition on something, and that's why it is like a unreal bolo, jo bhi bolo. And the best example is that we have done it so many times in this class is the snake and the rope. So the rope padi hui hai and I'm seeing the snake on it. And when I see the snake can look all terrible and all that, but actually nothing has happened to the rope. And different people, we see different snakes, and every day you can see a new snake, whichever way you want to look at it. But nothing has happened. Same way, we have to understand that even though in that ocean of bliss, the desire came, Brahman identified with the desire and created this world and entered into it and all that, but actually nothing has happened to it. It just thoda maja karne ke liye aa gaya, then in the end, it's the same. That's what it pointed on to say.
Umaji, is this also the same, realizing what is permanent and what is temporary?
Yeah, all those concepts can be explained in this. Absolutely. And so that's why a lot of saints and sages will say that ये दुनिया ना एंटरटेनमेंट के लिए बनाई है, इसमें ज़्यादा इन्वॉल्व होने की ज़रूरत नहीं है. लेकिन हम लोग इतना लाइफ एंड डेथ और ये वो इन्वॉल्व होके दुखी कर लेते अपने आप को कि इट्स नॉट नेसेसरी टू डू ऑल दैट. दैट्स व्हाई वी गेट. एंड मूवी भी देखने जाओ एंटरटेनमेंट के लिए तो जाते हैं हम लोग, और क्या करने के लिए जाते हैं. तो हम लोग ऐसी ऐसी मूवी क्यों चूज करते हैं? ये लोग बच्चे लोग को हॉरर मूवी अच्छी लगती है. माय गॉड, इट्स सच अ टेरेबल थिंग. आई डोंट सी एनी वैल्यू इन इट. उन लोग को मजा आ रहा है, डर भी रहे हैं और खुश भी हो रहे हैं. सो दैट्स व्हाट इट इज. It's hard to imagine, but from their perspective, the people who are at the highest level, that's what it is.
Umaji, also, if you are watching a sad movie and you get involved with it and with the character and you start crying or feeling sad, but the moment you realize this is just a movie, it goes away.
Exactly. That's what they're trying to say. That's exactly right. Agreed.
Thereafter, the Atma itself became the entire world of perception, manifest and unmanifest, that which has form and that which is formless, all knowledge and all ignorance, truth and falsehood. In short, every object of experience came from that one substratum, divine and all-pervading, the Supreme Self. The waves and the ripples, the foam and the lather, are all in real sense nothing but the one homogeneous ocean.
So that example is a really good one, right? That ocean may everything, there are so many different things in the ocean. It's all one big ocean only. And if you take stretch that example little further, जितने भी creatures वगैरह उसको भी हम लोग part of ocean ही बोलेंगे. Alive and dead and पत्थर in there and मिट्टी in there and everything together. That way also you can say if you want to. So basically they're saying that one Brahman expressed through so many different varieties.
Also, Umaji, ocean में कितना भी तूफान आए फिर वो शांत भी हो जाता है.
शांत होता है, उसकी गहराइयों में हमेशा शांत होता है वो. हाँ, ऊपर कितना भी तूफान आ रहा हो, बोलते तूफान इज नथिंग बट थोड़ी विंड चल रही है तो थोड़ा इधर उधर कूद रही है लहरें, बट जितना डीप जाते जाओ उतना बोलते हैं कि इट इज लाइक अ वेरी सेरेन एंड वेरी वेरी ब्यूटिफुल. या so nice example.
Whatever be the size, shape, design, color, price or contents, all clay parts have risen up from the one mud alone.
That's also a very powerful statement. को थोड़ा अच्छा डिजाइन हो, उस पे थोड़े और कुछ कलर वलर अच्छा कर दिया हो तो इसका महंगा है बहुत. एंड दूसरा वो सिंपल सा है, वो ये तो सस्ता है, बट एक्चुअली दोनों ही क्ले है.
And Umaji, we can also apply this example of mud and parts to the whole world.
Yes.
That everything is a part, but they all come from one.
Yes, absolutely. And then we should not be ये भेदभाव जो हम लोग करते हैं, ये बहुत अच्छा है, वो this guy is rich. किसी ने बोला कि it's like a game of chess. Whether you're a queen or a king or a pyada or whatever, when once the game is over, all go in the same box. I love that.
That's a good one.
So temporarily थोड़ा बोलो कि राजा वाजा है, but yeah.
If all these objects have risen up from the truth, in what way can we detect something that is common to all things, both the manifest and unmanifest? In the manifest world, we have inert stones, the growing vegetable world, the
sentient
animal kingdom, and the rational human beings. We experience the unmanifest world, such as our tendencies, likes and dislikes, love and hatred, and so on. What is that factor which is common to the stone, the plant, the animal, the man, his feelings and his ideas? If there be a common ground which is the same for every one of these entities, certainly that factor should be an expression of the Supreme, out of which all these have arisen.
So we saw that, right? I explained that whole thing, that जो भी कुछ तुम देखते हो वो एक substratum से ही आया है, but उसके जब manifest, unmanifest, so many things, and then Swami ji explained that जो भी हमको दिखाई देता है वो तुम 3 भागों में बांट सकते हो. एक stones are there, and then animals are there, plants are there, animals and us. And then unmanifest, I already discussed, there are so many things within us which are unmanifest, but it's there. So all that, uska common ground wohi hai. And then that beautiful verse was there in chapter 7 of Bhagavad Gita, that Bhagwan is like that thread that is in the mala. Without the thread there is no mala. एक माला होती है, उसमें एक थ्रेड अंदर होता है, वो थ्रेड भगवान का रूप है, बिकॉज वो होल्ड करके रखता है पूरे कॉस्मोस को टुगेदर, सो
जब उसने कॉस्मोस बनाया है तो उसको कंट्रोल भी तो करना है ना.
यस कुछ, और हम लोग कोई बोलते हैं कि इट इज कॉल्ड कॉस्मोस, नॉट केओस, बिकॉज बोलते हैं एवरीथिंग इज सो केओटिक, all these explosions are happening no, if you see from another angle, it is a complete harmony is there, tremendous harmony is there. Yeah.
On no platform can all these pluralistic words be brought together and equated on the basis of one common factor, except on the one idea which is certainly common to all of them, and that is existence. All of them exist. This fact, because of which we say that they exist, as contrasted with things like a sky flower or mirage water, which we say have no existence. That fact, philosophically called pure existence, is common to all, and this is an expression of supreme consciousness. Since the truth is embracing all objects and giving them all a glamour of existence, it is called existence.
So they just sat part hai. This can be a little bit confusing, but to me that is a simple explanation. Sat Chit Anand ka jo sat aspect hai, existence is common to all of us. The manifest and unmanifest also exist, and even within this whatever we can see on this earth, whether it is plant or whether it is stone or whether it's me, everything exists. So that existence is usko naam hi de diya, existence. And you know why they are saying it? Because then they're going to say existence cannot come from non-existence. That's why they are giving this. Now you understood how clever the Rishi Muni were. ऐसे ही बोलते थे दुनिया है तो बोले अच्छा ओके है, नहीं अभी उनको लॉजिक दिया पूरा कि ये सब है तो वो कहाँ से आया, वो एग्जिस्टेंस से आया है. That's what it's.
The declaration is not a mere intellectual hypothesis fathered by the rishis of the Upanishads, but there is a Vedic mantra which endorses it. It is quoted in the next section.
So they are talking about that, hey, this is supported by other parts in the Veda. Even Upanishads are part of Veda, but if somebody wants to separate Upanishad, then I say, maybe these guys are just saying something. No. Other evidence is there in the Vedas also of the same fact, whatever they are saying. There's another mantra, so that we will see next time. We went a little bit over, but at least we finished it. The 6 pages, Nareshji, we finished it. We need a pat on the back of everybody. It was a heavy subject, but I hope. Huh?
We took care of it.
Yeah, we tried. So any comment before we depart? Any comment, question? Anybody want to add anything about this big verse about creation, manifestation of the world?
I don't know whether this example is good or not, but I was thinking of a cloth, cotton, say, made of cotton, and you have a pattern in it, right? The pattern. The world is something like that. Nothing happens to the cotton, and all designs, everything we see in that cotton, in that cloth. Cloth is made of cotton, and then there's a pattern filled.
Yep.
And I that.
That's a very good example. I think Swamiji had mentioned that example somewhere. I don't even know. I think maybe in one of the Gita explanation or something.
Long time back.
Yeah, really, huh? And that's a very good example that everything is come from that cotton. The cotton is like Brahman. And then the women can create so many patterns on it. Pura wo ek scenery bana dete hai, right? My sister used to do this. And I have this one frame which has all the mountains are there and river is there and birds are flying and everything is come from that thread only. Yeah, true. It's a very good example.
So, Umaji, can you also apply the same principle to Devtas that we were talking about in Bhagavad Gita, that behind them all is the Supreme.
Yes, पर उनको पावर कहाँ से मिला? वहीं से मिला. So जो भी हम मैनिफेस्टेशन देखते हैं ना, like वायु है, अग्नि है, धरती, ये सब, वो सब different manifestation is something like electricity and the equipments. Electricity is common in all the equipment. Some equipment is giving heat, some is giving light, something is giving something else, so all that, but is happening due to electricity. So same way Brahman is a common thing, expressions are different. True, absolutely. And without the electricity, no equipment will work. You know that. My computer will shut down in 1 minute. We won't be able to do a class. So without that consciousness, nothing is possible. Yeah. Any other?
जो cosmos है, we don't know its beginning, we don't know its end. But अभी तक ये बात लोगों की समझ में नहीं आई कि वो धर्म के नाम से एक दूसरे को मारते रहते हैं.
Sad, that's exactly why Krishna Bhagwan have there's such a beautiful verse that you chavanti bola, fall down. If you don't understand me तत्व से, तो danger है उसमें. Exactly वही वाला danger कि तुम इंसान से ना जानवर बन जाओगे, because you have limited understanding and then you get attached to your own idea so much, and all that creates havoc. Absolutely. Like it's that हाथी वाली बात जो हमने की थी ना, कि एक हाथी है और उसको बोलो कि भाई तुम अंधे लोग खड़े हैं, और बोले कि हाथी को डिस्क्राइब करो, और वो बोलते हैं वो पूंछ ही ये तो पूंछ जैसा है, और वो बोलेगा नहीं ये तो खंबे जैसा है, अभी दोनों लड़ेंगे. नहीं तू तो झूठ बोल रहा है, वो तो ऐसा ही है, ये है वो है, like it's a similar thing that my God is better than yours. And then what is the irony is Anil ji, उनके भी जो क्या बोलते हैं, उनके जो पैगंबर वगैरह हैं, वो बोल रहे हैं उनको कि God is omnipotent, omniscient, omnipresent. So if it is omnipresent, how can your God be different than mine? So then somebody says, if you don't believe in Jesus, you will go to hell. No, it's not what if you don't believe in what Jesus is saying, you will go to hell. Think about it. What Jesus is saying, what Krishna is saying, what Buddha is saying is the same thing. But if you say, Jesus का जो words है ना, वही तुम करो, then it's a problem. But if you say, hey, what Jesus is saying, Buddha is saying the same thing. So whether I take Buddha's word or Jesus' word or Krishna's word or Ram's word, what's the difference? Some people...
In Islam, they say whoever does not believe in Islam is a kafir.
You know why? Because Islam के जो मेरे को ज़्यादा मालूम नहीं इस्लाम के बारे में, but सोचो आप 1 मिनट के लिए. When they say don't believe in Islam, it's not like the Islam religion. It's like जो इस्लाम के principles हैं, और वो basically कौन सा religion बोलेगा कि चोरी करो, don't respect people, don't help people. कोई रिलीजन नहीं बोलता. वो खुद के पैगंबर को गलत समझ के और सब उल्टा सीधा काम करते हैं. All these people who do conversion and all that, they have not understood their own पैगंबर्'s thing, because they are born in certain time to deliver certain things. Like कृष्ण भगवान, कोई बोलेगा गलत समझेगा ना, तो बोलेगा कि कृष्ण भगवान बोल रहे हैं कि सब अपने ना कजिन से जाके लड़ो, अगर उन्होंने कुछ ले लिया तुम्हारा तो मारो काटो और सब ले लो. That's not what Krishna Bhagwan is telling a soldier. Hey, go do your duty. That soldier's duty is to fight. That's all it is. If your duty is, first define your duty and then go do it. That's all he's telling. अगर तुमने war declare हो गया समझो, और वो सारे soldier बोले नहीं हम तो नहीं लड़ेंगे, हाँ दुनिया कैसे चलेगी फिर? अपनी duty छोड़ दो. So that's what it is, I think, Anilji. It is like we have to take it in the right context, and that's exactly why Krishna Bhagwan saying, जो मुझे तत्व से नहीं जानता है, वो गड़बड़ करेगा. And I have met lot of people from different religion, and they have no dispute with other religion. कम होते हैं ऐसे लोग. मुस्लिम में भी मिलेंगे आपको, who are very kind hearted, very good people, and Sufis वगैरह जो होते हैं वो बिल्कुल हमारे हिंदू की तरह होते हैं. They have the same concept of God with love and respect and everything and all that. And even Christian, I've met a lot of Christians who don't appreciate that, these conversions and things like that. And they want to study all the other religions also. And they understand the common theme. There are good people like that. But जो लोग गलत काम करते हैं ना, वो ज़्यादा हल्ला गुल्ला मचाते हैं, ज़्यादा नुकसान करते हैं, तो फिर हम लोग ना फिर लेबल कर देते हैं कि सारे ही ऐसे हैं and all that. But दुनिया में ऐसा नहीं है. If you really rise in your spirituality, whichever dharma you are, you will come to the same conclusion. That's why, when somebody approached Chinmayanand and said, he was a Christian fellow, saying, can I become Hindu? He said, why? Go home and become a better Christian. Will you change your mother? You can't change your mother. Go back and become a better Christian. You can come and learn from me. No need of conversion. So that is because he understood Bhagwan from the Tattva se. So I think there's a lot of things to be thinking about all these concepts, no? And then before I close, there was a famous saying that religion is just a vehicle. Spirituality is the goal. So don't make the vehicle, vehicle में बैठे रह जाओ. उतरो ही नहीं काम जिसके लिए आए हो. तो फायदा क्या फिर? So you can use whichever vehicle you want, but just don't forget the goal. That's what he's trying to say, Lord Krishna and Bhagavad Gita, and then through this. Okay. Everybody okay with this? We'll close. Om Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinah, Sarve Santu Niramaya, Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu, Ma Kashchit Dukha Bhag Bhavet. Hari Om, Shri Guru Pyo Namaha. Hari Om. Okay, Hari Om everyone. We'll see you next time.
Thank you.